Sebastian, I can confirm, is just fired up, so he'll be heading down to the pit lane exit any moment, but my eyes are looking up as much as down towards the exit of the pit lane, because I've just looked at the radar. The next bout of rain is 30 kilometres away to the southeast, and according to Ubimet, who are the FIA weather forecasters, that's going to hit the track at about 14:15 or perhaps as late as 14:25, but we are going to get rain again quite soon.
Lewis Hamilton waiting in the pits. They're keeping the tyre blankets on as long as possible. He's not allowed to do the formation lap when you get a pit lane start like this, so he has to wait there until all the cars have come past that pit lane exit before he will be released.
Well, a reasonable amount of wet track around the back of the circuit, certainly a lot drier on the front straight, so I don't expect them too many difficulties getting off the line, but of course that concertina effect is a breakdown into what is a fairly tight first corner, and as we saw from Kevin Magnussen yesterday, once you're carrying momentum on a lot of weight in the cars, 100 kilos of fuel at least, some may have slightly under-fueled for this race because they're not expecting it to be fuel limited, and of course when you run in damp conditions then your lap time is slower, you use therefore less fuel on any given lap as well.
Intermediate tyres confirmed on Lewis Hamilton's car as well, so the whole field, whether they're starting on the grid or starting from the pit lane, have chosen the intermediate wet tyre. This does mean they do not have to run both types of dry weather tyre during the race. As soon as you've used one of the wet tyres, then the obligation to use both types of dry tyre goes out the window. They can choose now, even if they want to do, if the track dries, they can just stay on the options.
Yeah, well here Perez is being reminded by Force India not to pull into that empty grid slot that's been left there by Daniel Kvyat.
Yep.
Good little reminder to the driver. It would be the first time we've seen them just fill an empty box.
That's right, good reminder indeed. Let's just quickly run through that grid again. It's Rosberg and Vettel on the front row, Bottas and Ricciardo on row 2, then Alonso and Massa, row 3, Button and Verne on row 4, Hulkenberg and Kvyat missing from row 5, Kvyat not there, the gap, then Sutil and Perez behind, Gutierrez and Grosjean on row 7, followed by Bianchi and Raikkonen as we get ready for the start of the Hungarian Grand Prix in tricky wet conditions. Lights out, away we go. Hamilton, Rosberg gets off the line. Bottas trying to go with him. Bottas has made a very good start, but Vettel trying to go to the outside. Hamilton waiting in the pits to come and start this race. Bottas trying to go to the outside as we go into the first corner, but has he got second from Sebastian Vettel? I think he has. Valtteri Bottas even challenging Rosberg, and it's Alonso on the move as ever. Started 5th, and now Alonso's trying to take 3rd away from Vettel. Goes around the outside, and he's done it, I think. He should have the inside line for the right-hander at the bottom of the hill, and Fernando Alonso always mighty in these conditions.
Well, both Bottas and Alonso using what's referred to amongst the drivers as the karting line, going wide, and we've got Hamilton.
Hamilton's gone off. He's joined from the pit lane. He's gone straight off down at turn 2.
Well, it looks like looking at the black lines as if there might have been contact towards the inside barrier. So has he just lost it in the rundown between 1 and 2 as we see
Vettel
coming back at Alonso up to turn 5, 6, the chicane.
Vettel moving back up into 3rd place, so he's got back past the Ferrari. So that's a surprise. You can see Jenson Button behind them. So Button's had a good start into 5th position. Ricciardo dropping back into 6th place in the other Red Bull. Then Hulkenberg is in 7th. Look at the amount of spray on this section.
Well, we saw Maldonado going off the track there at turn 10 on the way to the grid, so a lot of standing water there. Vettel with a bit of a moment, so catching them out.
Raikkonen's made up a little bit of ground. He's in 14th position. In the background, you'll see the Ferrari. Up ahead of him are the 2 Saubers, a slide for Perez, who gets away with it. There's Grosjean coming through as well. And in the background, Kevin Magnussen, Hamilton way down.
OK, Lewis, you got any damage? Let us know. My front left hit the wall, I think. Just checked my wing and everything. The brakes just gave up.
For Hamilton.
Okay, copy that, Lewis. So brakes are cold, brakes are cold.
Now, Lewis Hamilton coming out of turn 1, struggling for wheel spin, goes to the inside line. Now, as he goes under the bridge, he'll brake, locks up, and then the momentum throws him both ways. You can see the front left wing end plate touches the barrier, but it didn't appear to break off completely.
So he got away with that.
Yeah.
I can tell you he's already got past a few cars. He's just passed Magnussen as well. So he's up into 18th place. He's passed Ericsson, Kvyat, Magnussen, Maldonado, and indeed Chilton now as well. So Hamilton up to 17th position and already making progress.
Still got a good vibration somewhere.
Well, he might not be fully happy with the car, but he is lapping quite quickly at this point. 1 minute 49.3, quicker than those cars around him. And we're riding on board with Hamilton now as he goes after Kamui Kobayashi in the Caterham.
Yeah, look how dry the track is there as he comes through 4 up to the chicane. You can see actually the front wing end, inner part, left side of the front wing is slightly damaged. You can see the separation from the flap there. So he has broken a little bit, but certainly nowhere near as bad as Rosberg, getting a bit wide through turn 13, cuts back to a tight line to get best acceleration up into the last turn. His gap last time around was just under 6 seconds. He's taken a whopping second, just over a second out of Bottas in the first 2 sectors, so opening up that gap nicely. We're hearing that Daniel Kvyat has told the team max 3 to 4 laps before it will be dries. There's Hamilton on Raikkonen.
Here we go, down the inside towards the first corner, and actually it is pretty straightforward in the end. Mercedes horsepower once again helping Lewis Hamilton as he gets past the Ferrari. Now, I'm sure that he'll be loading those intermediate tyres up considerably to do this, but he's in the same boat as pretty much those around him, and he's already moved into 13th position there. So, knocking on the door of the top 10, he's got the 2 Saubers up ahead of him to pass, and then he'll be into 11th place, and Sergio Perez is not that much further up the road. Let's just see how this began.
Well, that's turn 12 into 13. He was on the inside line. And Raikkonen goes wide on the karting line. Hamilton stays on the inside. You can see the use of that karting line for Raikkonen. He was able to power back and drive out onto the start-finish straight. But in the end, at the all-important DRS activation point, Hamilton had that, and he's already got a much quicker car on the straight line.
Big accident for Marcus Ericsson in the Caterham. He has hit the wall very hard.
I think that's exit turn 3.
Yeah, turn 3 down the bottom of the hill, and it's safety car, and everybody will be gathered up behind safety car. Do we see some pit stops now for the slick tyres under safety car? But the safety car now picks up the medical car quickly out as well. The second of those now, or going through. So the race leader, Nico Rosberg, is picked up, and he didn't come in, David, interestingly. Now, Jenson Button has decided to come in, so has Daniel Ricciardo, so the top 4 have gone through. But Button, Ricciardo and Hulkenberg and just about everybody else putting the slicks on. You can see the yellow marking on the tyre there, so it's the softer of the 2 compounds available, and Rosberg is going to lose out as a result of this.
Well, I was going to say, you can see the marshals there. When we had the shot of Ericsson in the car, they were doing the double thumbs up, indicating that the driver was communicating. We've seen him walk away. Hamilton, unsurprisingly, has come in for those option tyres as well.
Everybody, I think,
yeah,
apart from Rosberg. Oh, look at this, side by side, coming out of the pits, just about managed to make it through. Nico Hulkenberg with Gutierrez there. Oh, sorry, it's Perez on the outside. Perez and Gutierrez, the 2 Mexicans. Hulkenberg running wide himself, but Perez just managing to get out in front of his of Gutierrez. The others that didn't come in there, looking at this, were Bianchi and Magnussen.
This is crucial. They're moving this car much faster than maybe would have been anticipated at turn 3. What you'd be hoping for on the slicks is to see a replay of Ericsson, drops down out of 2, losing downforce behind the Lotus. The Lotus has a wobble, and we've been seeing a lot more of this. A big impact to the front of the car there. You saw his head coming forward, the hands device that all the drivers wear, the head and neck support system helping. Is this an unsafe release or an issue with the rear? Looked like a slow stop for Jenson Button and an unsafe release potentially. Left rear issue. So there you can see a number of cars going wheel to wheel. That'll be interesting for the stewards to have a little look at.
Gutierrez,
as long as it's
Perez.
not putting in danger any of the mechanics and the people that are there servicing the cars, it's all good. But what I was going to say here, Ben, the guys who've gone to slicks, and in certain places of the track it's certainly too early, they'd be hoping for a safety car for several laps, 3, 4, 5 laps. This looks like we could have the safety car coming in. And there you can see the response to that. All of those who stayed out are now heading in.
So they reckon they've got to do it as well. And this really does turn things around, because this group will now be at the back of the queue, of course. So complete turnaround. Rosberg, Bottas, Vettel and Alonso all come in, and they put the slicks, and it's a good stop from Vettel, but Mercedes managed to get Rosberg out ahead. Now, where is Bottas in all that? Has he come out? I think Bottas has lost out. There he is. Oh yes, Bottas has lost out hugely there as a result of the slow stop.
5-second pit stop, 2 seconds slower than those around.
So rejoining the fray behind Magnussen, that's bringing them back out in around 11th place, is it? No, it's a bit higher up than that. 7th position, I think he's come out. Vettel, Alonso in 8th position, so Rosberg out in 5th position, as we can see. So not right down to the back of the queue, but clearly having lost some crucial places here. Well, that means that Daniel Ricciardo is now leading this race because, of course, Jenson Button had a slow stop.
Is the rain still looking likely?
Jensen, we're expecting some rain, difficult to be certain on intensity. Okay, Jensen, here's the situation. The front 4 cars stayed out on Inter, they're still on Inter. Ricciardo is in front, he fitted an option, and several cars behind have also fitted dries.
Let's hope the weather forecast is okay.
Jenson Button is on intermediates. He didn't put slicks on. He is on the intermediate tyre, as is Kevin Magnussen. McLaren have done a completely different strategy to everybody else here.
Bargaining on the rain coming.
Correction, Magnussen on the intermediates has not been into the pits yet, so they haven't changed him on to intermediates. The safety car will be coming in at the end of this lap. Ericsson's car has been cleared away, and we have a complete change around in the order at the moment.
I think there's an issue with Rosberg's car. Look at that steam there. That's not just coming off.
Oh, and a crash for the Lotus. It looks like Grosjean. And this will bring the safety car, will leave the safety car out there. This has happened under safety car conditions. Grosjean on a slick tyre. He'd just been in to put the slicks on, and he's been caught out by the wetness that's still on the track, and the safety car stays out there for a bit longer. Just caught the end of the accident for Grosjean. It just suddenly speared right, presumably got a wheel on the curb on the outside, and it just turned him around, and Grosjean out of the Grand Prix, joining Ericsson in retirement. The safety car will be coming in this lap, we think, as long as nobody else crashes. We saw the accident for Marcus Ericsson, that was cleared away, and then just as the cars were about to be released, we saw another accident for Romain Grosjean. Daniel Ricciardo is the race leader. He's on slick tyres. He's chased by Jenson Button, who switched onto another set of intermediates. He's going to be in trouble as the track is drying out. Massa is in 3rd place on slicks. Rosberg is in 4th position now, the original race leader. Then we've got Byrne and Vettel a little bit further down. We're getting ready for the restart, and it is going to be Daniel Ricciardo who leads them as they come out of the final turn here and launches his way to get this race started once again. That's 40 onto lap 14, and Ricciardo leads with Button in 2nd place on the intermediate tyre.
Huge pressure on all those on slicks, cool tyres and brakes downhill into turn 1. You
Alonso
see Vettel
and Vettel
going around outside,
side by side, and a bit of a
Button's through.
Button's got past on the intermediate, so the intermediate's still working at the moment. He's got to make the absolute most of this next couple of laps on the intermediates, and watch for Kevin Magnussen, who will be trying to do the same on his more worn intermediates.
This will be interesting.
And Jensen, rain looking less likely, so we should push. And we believe it is fuel zero to the end of the race.
So they're safe on fuel. There is the original race leader, Nico Rosberg. He finds himself in 5th position now, and he's under some pressure from Jean-Eric Byrne.
Oh, and one of the sports engines has run wide, and Vettel's through. That was Hülkenberg, and obviously found his way through somehow.
Well, always going to be difficult on the restart, getting these tyres to work on what is still slippery conditions here. Yep, Perez comes through. Hülkenberg is still there, but he's dropped back down the order. He's in 11th place as a result of that. And, well, Vettel is in 8th position currently, being one of those that wasn't able to make the initial pit stop. So Jenson Button leads, but he's not really escaping by as much as he needs to make a pit stop. It's still looking quite good for Daniel Ricciardo at the moment.
Yeah, Jenson, it's not wet enough. Daniel Ricciardo was able to match him in the middle sector. They both did 34.7. And as Rosberg has a little look at Vettel.
And Hamilton having a look at Vettel.
Hamilton, excuse me.
Yep, Hamilton it is.
We need your feedback on these tyres. Let us know when they're dead.
Going to be one more lap.
Jensen giving clear feedback, and here comes Rosberg now as he makes a move on Kevin Magnussen and goes to the outside. Magnussen still the intermediate tyres that he started this race on, and he's pushing Rosberg out wide, and that could give somebody else a chance. Jean-Eric Vergne is getting alongside the World Championship leader. There is the Toro Rosso on the right-hand side, and Nico Rosberg allows him through. He's being cautious here, but you know what? Hamilton's not far behind him, and now Rosberg's under pressure from Alonso. Alonso goes through, and there's only one car between Rosberg and Hamilton. Would you believe it? We're only on lap 15 of the Hungarian Grand Prix, and Rosberg has just the car of Sebastian Vettel between himself and Hamilton.
British Bulldog, never quit spirit. Hamilton is right back in this race.
And look at Hamilton trying to get past Sebastian Vettel, not finding a way through yet. Vettel struggling in terms of the battery pack. He's on the radio telling it's not discharging the battery correctly. He's looking for advice from the team in the middle of this dice as well, as we see still Jenson Button leading the Grand Prix. We are expecting him though to be coming in at the end of the lap. Kevin Magnussen is holding this whole group up. Jean-Eric Vergne, Fernando Alonso, Rosberg is in that group as well, of course, as Button comes under pressure from Ricciardo.
Well, he has to come in, but this is going to cost him 20 seconds and total time as Daniel Ricciardo all over the back of him. And this will put Jenson right to the back of the field. Last time around, Chilton was only 15 seconds behind the race leader.
It puts Massa into second place as well. Daniel Ricciardo leads the Hungarian Grand Prix. Felipe Massa is in second place. Then there's the gap back.
Huge gap, Ben. Magnussen has held them all back.
Yeah, but he's also in. Magnussen is also in. Here comes Rosberg side by side with Vergne down the inside. All both looking up, running wide. And now we've got opportunity for Vettel to get involved there as well. Hamilton's in the mix, and Rosberg lost the place again to Jean-Eric Vergne. And again, he'll have Vettel and Hamilton right behind him.
Different races they're having. Rosberg has to play the long game. You know, of course he wants to win the Grand Prix, but the championship is something that is a real possibility. So that lock-up there with Alonso in front could have been very costly.
Vettel still holding off Hamilton.
Lock-up there from Vergne.
We gather Hulkenberg has stopped out on track, so problems for Nico Hulkenberg, and it could be the first time this year he's not going to score points, and that would be a great shame, leaving just Alonso as the only driver to have scored in every Grand Prix this year. But through the middle section of the track they come. Ricciardo leads the race. That's Vettel, though, we're looking at in between Rosberg and Hamilton, and there is Nico Hulkenberg. What a shame, his first retirement of the season, but it looks as though he's
parked it in the barrier.
Yeah, it looks as though it may have been a mistake, or indeed contact with another car that has seen him go out of this Grand Prix.
That's the last corner, so let's see what went on here. Coming out of 13, you can see that there's a bit of a battle going on between him and his teammate. And as Magnussen peels into the pits, he tries to go in the contact between the two of them. And Perez doing a fantastic rally-style slide, but rule number 1 through to 100 is never make contact with your teammate. And
Perez did his own damage.
Yeah, exactly, and he already whacked the back of Vettel's car.
And this is Pastor Maldonado making the move on Jules Bianchi. Did he complete the move, or was there contact?
Oh, no. He feared that was coming. They were far away from each other as they went towards the apex, but Maldonado's smashing season continues. The door is wide open, but he's on the damp. He has to open it, and you know, Jules, maybe with the benefit of hindsight, when you know you've got Maldonado and a Lotus on your inside, you might just want to take a slightly wider line. Such difficult conditions for the drivers because they're running about 7 seconds slower than they were in qualifying. Of course, part of that is the fuel effect, part of that is the track being in a suboptimal condition. So they're trying to learn the evolution of the tyre in these track temperatures while racing wheel to wheel. And Vettel, huge oversteer through one of the fastest corners on the track through turn 11, and well, that's well over 140 miles an hour in normal dry conditions. Let's call it in the 130s at this point in the race.
Just to let you know, Jenson Button, after having to switch onto the slick tyres, is currently running down in 14th place.
Sebastian, your front caliper is a little warm. Rearwards on bias if you can. Rearwards on bias if you can.
So not only the Red Bull in trouble with brake temperature, the Mercedes in trouble with brake temperature, so the Red Bull, again Hamilton not able to get past. And interestingly, Rosberg's unable to get past Jean-Eric Vergne in the Toro Rosso up ahead of them.
They're just limited on the line they can take, and then it effectively means you have to follow the wheel tracks of the car in front. Hamilton taking a slightly wider line initially on Vettel to try and find another way to put him under pressure. And, well, you can see the spray coming out of the curve there. You've got to be super confident to be the first man to start running off the tarmac and using those curbs.
A real scrap between two of the greats of the sport at the moment. Vettel touched wide there, but not much chance for Vettel for Hamilton to overtake. And you've got to say, Jean-Eric Vergne in the Toro Rosso at the head of this group, running in 4th place, is doing everything asked of him. This is outstanding from Jean-Eric Vergne, of course, teammate to Ricciardo for the last couple of years, and there wasn't a huge amount between them. Well, Ricciardo's leading this Grand Prix in the Red Bull, and Jean-Eric Vergne is running in 4th place in the Toro Rosso at a time of year when driver contracts are being looked at, and he's in the showcase right now. He's got to keep his head and see what he can do here.
Oh, he's punching above his weight in terms of machinery, but she said, Ben, these weather conditions just neutralising the performance advantage of the Mercedes. A couple of world champions putting pressure on the back of what could be the world champion this season, Nico Rosberg.
Yeah, Rosberg holding on to 5th place. Oh, crash! And it's Sergio Perez has hit the pit wall. Sergio Perez crashes out of the last corner, and we will definitely have safety car again. We could see another round of pit stops, and Sergio Perez hopefully okay. It certainly was a heavy impact against the wall.
Well, we've still got quite a long way to go in this race. There's no need for the drivers to have to use the other tyre, but that debris you can see is going to take some time to clean up. I suspect he's gone wide. He's just gone fastest man of all in the first sector, green in the middle, and I suspect he's just touched the wet on the outside of turn 14 and then been spun around and ejected into the wall. No one's come in as yet.
It's good to see him getting out of the car though, David, because that was a hefty whack, and you don't have tyres to take the impact.
No, that is carbon against concrete, but he is absolutely fine. And this may just be too early for anyone to take advantage from putting on another set of tyres. Unlikely with the life that they're going to get anywhere near to the end of this Grand Prix.
Well, it's a double non-finish for Force India after having such a great season. It's gone very wrong here this weekend. Both Hülkenberg and Perez are out. Tom?
Then it's going to be absolutely marginal as to whether they can get to the end of the race on the set of tyres that we're about to put on. Pirelli reckoned that if they could get to lap 30, they might have been able to get to the end of the race on the soft tyre, but 23 is going to be difficult.
Another look at the accident, David.
Yeah, he went wide on the exit of 14, touched the water, and that just spins the car around. And at that sort of speed and that amount of energy in the car, very little the driver can do. And we've got a race leader in.
Daniel Ricciardo into the pits then for another set of the... Oh, he has to be held, but they did the right thing because another car, the Williams, was coming in. Felipe Massa coming in from 2nd place. And Fernando Alonso presumably... No, is Alonso in yet? Alonso has stayed out, David, interestingly enough. Alonso has stayed out.
He was the man that was making good pace. And, well, under normal conditions, these tyres have got a life expectancy around 20 laps. That improves, of course, during Grand Prix racing as the fuel burns down. Ricciardo will have to make another stop this afternoon. There's no way he can make it to the end of the Grand Prix on that set of option tyres. So Alonso maybe just trying to take it a bit further and split the difference.
Oh, safety car line. I think Button just had that, didn't he?
He did.
So that means that Button 12th at the moment, Bottas 13th. We've just seen that Kobayashi's car has come to a stop at turn 12. And that means that Chilton now leads the Marussia Caterham group. Ericsson out, of course. We've lost both Caterhams, if that's confirmed. Yep, there you are. He's getting some instructions as to which way home, I think.
Yeah, what's the quickest way to the airport?
Getting ready for the restart then. Fernando Alonso is the man in control of that restart, and initially he goes very deep into the last corner, and watch Hamilton immediately going on the attack as he tries to get past Sebastian Vettel, who has a big twitch there and being chased by Ricciardo. Now, DRS is not available yet.
Yeah, just going to say that they're all just relying on whatever straight line speed they have. They're all having to take that slightly wider line still, because look how damp it is on the inside of the track.
You can really see where the dry line is now, can't you? Again, on the inside here, which is a favoured overtaking spot, it's still damp. And Ricciardo closing up towards Hamilton, but Hamilton getting very close to the back of Vettel. And then behind them, you've got Felipe Massa. Esteban Gutierrez is currently running in 8th place. Sauber hasn't been seen that far up since Monaco, when he then crashed out of the Grand Prix, and there wasn't any opportunity for them to score any points. But at the moment, you've got two Saubers in the top 10. The Behind them, we've got Kvyat just outside the top 10. But this group, this lead group, is what we're focusing on at the moment. And Alonso leading a Grand Prix. Well, we haven't seen much of that this year. In fact, I think it's the first time a Ferrari-engined car has led. And Alonso will take full advantage if he can here.
It's been a lean period for Fernando. He's lined up 5th on the grid at the start of this race. I believe it's his 22nd, 5th place for Ferrari, so more performance needed.
Is anyone on new tyres behind me? So Ricciardo, the car behind, on new tyres.
But you want to use the advantage of a new tyre within the first couple of laps, because after that, the advantage sort of disappears. So Ricciardo needs to get on with it. And I'm not sure he's quite got the car to be able to do that. In the meantime, Rosberg is lining up Verne, Jean-Eric Verne in the Toro Rosso, and again, no way through. And it's fascinating, despite the advantage that Mercedes have in terms of the car and the power unit, that Hungary is proving as difficult as ever at a track on which to overtake, and particularly when you've still got some of these areas where it's not fully dry on the inside of the corners. So Hamilton still stuck behind Vettel. Then Ricciardo following them, followed by Felipe Massa. Bottas, by the way, is all the way down in 13th place now. The Finn who's been on the podium the last few events and looked to be in great shape in the early part of this race. But he's now well down the field in 13th, perhaps trying to go a long, long way on his harder medium compound tyres.
And Raikkonen getting up behind Gutierrez, down into the chicane at 5 and 6. And massive kick of oversteer. Does he lose a position to Sutil, but seems to get away with it? Well, here on Kimi Raikkonen, his Ashton's team, if you've got a left rear puncture, they have tyre pressure sensors that send by telemetry back to the pits. They're saying no, and he's saying, well, there must be something wrong with my car.
That's right, Raikkonen. Yeah, he's done a lot of laps on that set of tyres. He's done 21 laps now on that set of tyres, although some of the race leaders are surely due a pit stop, and in fact Kvyat comes in. Alonso's done 23 laps on this set of tyres, and Verne, you would think, would be getting to the end of the life of his tyres because he's done 25. All of this group, David, I think, will be heading into the pits fairly soon.
Yeah, this is working out perfectly for Alonso, just giving a bit of a breathing space, got that gap up to 3 seconds, just over 3 seconds now as Verne holds the group behind.
Okay, Daniel, so when these cars are ahead pit, we need to be quick at that point. Just think about how you use the tyres. Okay.
Ricciardo well placed here because he's on the much fresher tyres. We all know that this group in front of him is due to be coming into the pit soon, and when they do, he's being asked to really attack, and it could be just the right moment for Daniel Ricciardo. Let's wait and see.
Yeah, his tyres are 14 laps fresher than those around him. And, well, that just gives him a bit more compound to play with.
Interestingly, though, Hamilton's just set the fastest first sector of anybody in his chase of Sebastian Vettel. Still none of the group have come into the pits, so they're getting good mileage out of this. And, of course, all the teams will be monitoring to see just how far they can get on a set of tyres. But Jean-Eric Verne is still losing around 0.4 of a second to Fernando Alonso. Still keeping Rosberg behind him. There is Rosberg, man who started on pole, led the early stages of this Grand Prix, but the timing of the first safety car was what didn't work in his favour. He had to do another lap, whilst those 5th and further back were able to make an early pit stop. Once he made his pit stop, he's found himself a little bit stuck here behind Jean-Eric Verne, but it's not the time to make a desperate lunge, not when you've got the World Championship to think about. Vettel enjoying this race probably more than most because he's got an opportunity, but it may well shift to his teammate Daniel Ricciardo, ironically again, as having the best opportunity here if the strategy works in his favour. No sign of any rain around at the moment, but we do know that there is a possibility we could get another shower before the end of the Grand Prix. So how many more laps is Alonso going to go here? He's opened up a 3.6 second advantage over this group. Rosberg not as close to Verne this time, interestingly. His tyres may well be going off as well. And in Mercedes are ready indeed. I think that looks like it's going to be Rosberg. Let's see.
Box, 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 but do the opposite to Verne.
Okay, do the opposite to Verne, which means if Verne had come in ahead of you, then stay out. But Verne didn't come in, and he splashed. Oh, we've got Red Bull, and it's Vettel. Vettel has spun, but he's not hit anything.
Well, if he grazed the wall, it'll be interesting to see. He was certainly on his way there.
Oh, My goodness me, Sebastian Vettel, a very rare mistake. They were trying to get a bit of stuff out of the brake duct, I think. Or
Well, either that, was he doing a front wing adjustment?
yeah, it may have been, but it looked as though, to me, as though there might have been something around that front brake duct. But Rosberg rejoins, and now we're going to see him really put the hammer down. He is on a fresh set of tyres, clearly. He rejoins in 13th place. He's on another set of the soft tyres. And now he's got to really go for it. Let's just take a look at what happened to Vettel here, being chased by Hamilton, of course.
Gets out onto the artificial grass, it goes around. Oh, just a kiss of the concrete. And, you know, he gathers his senses. But under pressure from Hamilton, gets onto that artificial grass where the water is. And, well, the rear suspension, it's strong in certain ways. We're going to see it from an on-board point of view. You'll see a massive kick of oversteer and correction from him. There he is, full opposite lock, waiting, contact, and off he goes.
Sebastian, you hit anything? Negative, but I flat spotted the tyres. Understood.
It's also calm, isn't it? He so nearly did what Sergio Perez did earlier in this Grand Prix. But, oh, and Gutierrez is out. Oh, Esteban Gutierrez, who was running in the points. And presumably this time the car has let him down. Now, Lewis Hamilton trying to make a move on Jean-Eric Vergne. Moves to the outside. Vergne has control of the corner. Where's the grip level?
Hamilton will cut back. Does he have the speed?
Vergne will now hold the inside a little bit. Hamilton trying down the outside into turn 2. Bit of grip out there still. Lock up from Vergne. Totally entitled to
He's
do
going to
that.
have to cut back, Ben, sorry. Great stuff.
Good racing from Jean-Eric Vergne. One of the few chances he's had to race against these real top-flight drivers. But here comes Hamilton. Oh, he put a wheel on the grass. Can he make the move? He does! Round the outside at turn 4. Last year we saw Romain Grosjean do that. This time Lewis Hamilton pulls it off.
Simply brilliant manoeuvre there from Lewis Hamilton. He knew he had to get a move on and get past Vergne.
Especially when he put a wheel on the grass, so that as he turned in, I wondered if the back end was going to let go on him, but he just judged it beautifully. Now Ricciardo is the one here on fresher tyres, of course, and he's got to put in some quick laps here around the other guys' pit stops.
You'd like to imagine it might be somewhat easier for him to pass the Toro Rosso.
Sebastian, the plan is to go to the end on those tyres, go to the end on these tyres, so try to keep the carcass temps down. You're in position, you can't do much, just try to save your tyres.
And Vettel has been put onto the harder compound tyre, and he has rejoined in 13th place, so they're going to get to should be able to go to the end on that tyre, but it's not the quickest tyre. Vergne comes in. Vergne is in at last, from second place after driving a superb stint.
That's interesting strategy, Red Bull covering the bases. We know that Daniel Ricciardo will have to stop again this afternoon to put another set of the option or prime, his choice, having started on the intermediates.
And who knows, might have to stop again if it rains again, of course, but if it stays dry, then the plan is for Vettel to go to the checkered flag. Reasonable stop from Toro Rosso, but not one of the fastest, I wouldn't have thought, 4.1 seconds, so they've lost a little bit of time, and he comes out behind Rosberg. He also comes out behind Pastor Maldonado.
Just in front of Vettel, both on the prime tyre.
Okay, Lewis, so one more lap.
And then it'll be the pit stop, and it'll be the second pit stop for Hamilton, and the only other pit stop he will need before the end of this race. And same story for Alonso, who currently leads this Grand Prix. DRS is available, it's working, and here comes Rosberg on Bottas to take the place, I think, down the inside. Gives him a bit of a squeeze on the exit of the corner, but gets through cleanly, and Rosberg moves up into 9th position as a result of that. In fact, 8th position now, because Jenson Button has just made a pit stop and has rejoined in 13th place. So Rosberg getting past one. He's got to get past several more, though, to be able to have a chance at challenging his teammate Lewis Hamilton later on in this Grand Prix. Hammer down for Nico Rosberg. We've heard it asked for hammer time before for Lewis Hamilton, but it's Nico Rosberg who's got to get on with it. Those clouds still looking a little bit threatening in the background, but no sign of rain falling at this point. Fernando Alonso is still the race leader. He has a slight advantage.
I could probably eke out another 1 or 2 laps at this pace.
Okay, just go for it, Lewis, go for it. Do as much as you can.
Well, Alonso's decided to come in. It is enough laps on these tyres. He's done 29 laps. That's an amazingly long stint on the soft tyre. Now, will he go for another set of softs? I think he will, because Ferrari, feeling he's done that many laps on the first set. In these temperatures and these conditions, they're getting more life out of the tyres than they saw here on the Friday. So Fernando Alonso rejoining behind his teammate Kimi Räikkönen, interestingly enough. That brings him out in 5th position, and Lewis Hamilton's in the pits. Hamilton is in. So let's watch the pit stop. It's a little bit slow, but he gets away cleanly.
Prime tyre has gone on, I believe.
So a slightly different strategy there for Mercedes, but he will still be out ahead of Rosberg.
You can see the white sidewall tyre. Okay, that is interesting. Definitely committing. And again, the mechanic working right to the last moment to try and get the brake tape off the brake duct. So under normal conditions, this runs, well, depending on car and all the other variables, about half a second or so, maybe a bit more slower than the option.
Interestingly, he's come out in 5th, David. Rosberg's in 6th. But of course, Rosberg is on a set of tyres. He will have to surely come in before the end of the Grand Prix, Nico Rosberg, whereas Hamilton could go to the end quite happily on these tyres. As you say, slightly interesting there. They haven't done what Ferrari have done and gone for the softer tyre.
Well, here's another man that we expect will have to stop again this afternoon. Came early for those new option tyres, the yellow sidewall.
Well, he leads the race at the moment, does Daniel Ricciardo. He's got a 1.3 second advantage. Well, he did have. It'll be more than that now that Hamilton's come in. So his gap now is back to Felipe Massa. So he's got more like 10-second advantage over Felipe Massa in 2nd place. Now, Ricciardo's just got to get these laps in as quickly as possible at this stage of the Grand Prix. And I tell you what, Hamilton is looking very, very good for a potential victory here today. What a turnaround if he can achieve that. Now, we saw a big crash against the pit wall. While Sebastian Vettel might have missed it, Sergio Perez hit it very hard. He's talking to Jenny.
Sergio Perez, that was an awful crash. Just tell us, are you okay, and what's the car like? You've just been to see it.
Oh, really, really sorry for my team. Very sad for them. They've done an amazing work, and I'm just sorry, that it's been a very difficult weekend for us. So definitely points today were possible. The race was going all right till that point, and then I just lost the back end of the car. The conditions, the track conditions were improving race by race. Lap by lap, and yeah, at the end it was just not enough.
So you had a little bit of contact with your teammate before that. Do you think that affected the handling of the car?
It did affect, obviously. It was quite a big accident, but it was going all right until that point. So it's fully my fault.
Aching?
No, thanks for everything. All right.
Kimi Räikkönen has made a pit stop, 2.8 seconds, and he did a long stint on his soft tyres, some 33 laps, coming out behind Pastor Maldonado there and battling with Sebastian Vettel. Vettel will have a bit of an edge to get past him here. Of course, Räikkönen on the brand new softer tyre. Vettel goes down the outside, but Räikkönen has the inside line. He doesn't want to give up that place, and Vettel is forced to go around the outside. Oh my goodness, but he's got the inner line. No, Räikkönen shuts the door, and Räikkönen takes the place from Vettel.
Oh, that was brilliant stuff.
Here comes
Vettel's,
Vettel.
yeah, he's still going for it, but Räikkönen knew he had the benefit of more grip from those tyres. And, well, that can only happen when you've got a couple of professionals just knowing the width of their car.
Don't forget, Kimi Räikkönen started down in 16th place in this Grand Prix. He might not have made the meteoric progress that Lewis Hamilton has done, but he is into 8th position now, and prospect to maybe pick off a few more. Some really interesting tyre strategies at work here. Daniel Ricciardo leads the Grand Prix by 12.5 seconds. If he's to continue and not come back into the pits, he'll have to do the longest stint that we've seen from anybody on the soft tyre. And it seems unlikely, but the talk on the radio sounds as though he's really trying to manage his tyres at this stage of the race, and maybe Red Bull hoping that they can pull it off. Straight in Felipe Massa. This will be
That's
another
a surprise
pit stop
to the team. They weren't even ready for him there. Late call from Massa.
And clearly they are not happy that these prime tyres, these medium compound tyres, will get to the end. So they have to make another pit stop, and this will obviously drop him down into the lower reaches of the top 10. In fact, I wonder if he'll still be in the top 10. We'll have to see. I think he might drop just outside the points. He goes with the same compound. Surprises me a little bit. I thought they might go for the softer tyre, but he goes for the harder compound tyre, and he's back out once again. And in fact, he's out ahead of Räikkönen, so lost less than I expected there. He's come out in 6th position. So a good bit of strategy perhaps from Williams. Hamilton is in third. There's Rosberg in fourth, just behind his teammate. Bottas still in fifth, but we're expecting another pit stop. Massa is sixth. Raikkonen is in seventh place. Again, he's had a few of those this year, but nothing better. Vettel is eighth after that spin earlier on today. Verne, who was a bit of a star in the early stages, he's ninth, and Button is 10th.
Well, interesting for Alonso running in clean air. He's on the option tyre, trying to do 31 laps if he's going to get to the end of this Grand Prix. Hamilton on the prime, of course. You see Rosberg pushing up against the back of him. If Hamilton doesn't really want to get too much into the dirty air of that Ferrari.
Why is he not letting me through? Okay, Lewis, if you let Nico pass this lap, please. Let Nico pass on the main start-finish straight.
I think that's a tough call by the team. I'm sorry, they are racing, and there's a long way of this Grand Prix to go. And yeah, I think that's an unfair call. Let him through.
Yeah, I mean, he's on a different strategy. But
I accept that, Ben, but a lot can happen in this Grand Prix.
Yeah, no, I understand what you're saying. And also, he's fighting for a world championship, and if Rosberg drops back further into the pack, it helps Hamilton.
Sure. I think, you know, Paddy or someone coming on the radio and saying, you know, Lewis, let's think of the long game is one thing, but a direct instruction by the race engineer, presumably the race engineer has been told that by management. He hasn't just dreamt that up himself. And that puts a great deal of pressure on the race driver, because now Lewis is in a position where he has to either disobey his race engineer, knowing fine well that his race engineer is not going to tell him to do that without having been told by the management. Tough calls like that need to be made by senior management, not pressurizing the race engineers into breaking that bond of trust between the driver and the guys that he works with.
Well, these situations were always going to arise, weren't they, this year? We're on board with Kimi Raikkonen here, who is chasing down Felipe Massa. Interestingly, Daniel Ricciardo saying that it's his left rear that is the biggest limitation, but the team have told him stay out there, the pace is good, and for the moment Ricciardo is still leading this Grand Prix.
Well, we're hearing that Hamilton's told his team, tell him to get closer, I'm not just going to let him by. As we've got Ricciardo in, could make it last.
Race leader is into the pits. Daniel Ricciardo has done a long stint on the soft tyres, but he's been forced to make a pit stop. He goes back out on the yellow-walled soft tyre, and he will come back out in fourth position. But we do think that Rosberg will have to make another stop, so there's still a chance to move up again.
Yeah, that was Rosberg just going through in front. So Daniel with another set of the option tyres on board.
Well, it means that Fernando Alonso is now the race leader here in Hungary, and he has a 2.8 second advantage over Lewis Hamilton. There is the race leader, Fernando Alonso in control. Can he possibly hang on?
Well, if our only chance is to beat them by staying out, then we should try that. I don't think we have that much to lose.
Understood. We'll go with that. Good call.
Sebastian Vettel, having done 21 laps already on the medium tyre, he's looking to go all the way to the end, which is what we thought they were probably up to. Just to confirm, as we know, Ricciardo is running in fourth place. We'll get the idea of the gap behind Rosberg. Rosberg's in. Rosberg comes in. I was looking for the gap to Ricciardo. Ricciardo will now come through in third position as Rosberg makes another pit stop. And let's see where he comes back out.
Another set of options going on.
He's going to drop down the order, but how far down the order will he drop? Of course, the Williams next up. They're the ones he's going to try and beat, but he's going to come out behind Bottas.
Raikkonen.
Yeah, Massa and Raikkonen. So he rejoins the fray once again in seventh place with plenty of work to do here. Now, Kimi Raikkonen's done 16 laps on these tyres, whereas Nico Rosberg's on a new set of tyres, a fresh set of tyres. They were a scrubbed set. They were one of the sets he used in qualifying, so he hasn't got that overreaching advantage of a brand new set, but they'll still be much quicker than the ones on Raikkonen's car.
Okay, Hamilton is going to get a whole mirror full of Ricciardo anytime soon. Ricciardo is really starting to light up the screens, and he's, well, pulling over a second on Hamilton on this last lap. It was 3.7 seconds the gap last time around, 2.4 seconds now, and, well, 1.3 seconds quicker. Is Daniel Ricciardo got what it takes to pull a pass on Hamilton?
To catch in Hamilton very quickly. Think about how you use the tyres. They want to be fresh when you catch him.
But Hamilton's catching Alonso quite a lot too at the moment, so you know, they're all closing up. Our top three cars are all closing up together.
Different strategies, of course. Ricciardo on those fresher tyres can afford to really push and lean. Massa getting even more pressure from Raikkonen, who's got the pressure from Rosberg. And Ferrari sandwich.
They're all closing up a bit more on Bottas, I'm sure, who's struggling now. We're on board with Massa. You can see both Raikkonen and the Mercedes of Rosberg close behind. Just listen as he comes up the hill and just see how much he can get on the power, or is he really struggling? He shouldn't be struggling too much, Massa. These tyres are relatively fresh, but he's on the harder compound tyre, and Rosberg's really the one to watch here because he's got so much more grip. You could see it on the exit of that corner where he held a tighter line. Look how much they're all bearing down on Valtteri Bottas, who we do think is going to have to go into the pits unless he can really hang on in there, but it does look as though he's going to go backwards quickly at this stage. Meanwhile, top three still the same. Alonso from Hamilton and Ricciardo. So we've got one race going on for the win here today and another race going on for fourth place. Rosberg! Oh, he's not going to get past Raikkonen there, surely. Bottas is going to be coming in, we believe, at the end of this lap. Let's just watch him. You'll see him peel off to the right, the first of the Williams. No, he does he? Yeah, he did, sorry, he did. Yeah, just taking the pit lane entry there at the last moment to get the speed into the corner, of course.
Rosberg will get a double toe here. And of course, Massa has the DRS available because of his teammates pulling into the pits. So Raikkonen loses out. Rosberg having a sneaky look.
Rosberg having a look down the inside. Raikkonen opens the door and gives him space, and Rosberg is able to take full advantage of that. It did look for a moment as though there could be a tangle, but Raikkonen very aware of where the Mercedes was.
Yeah, great wheel-to-wheel action.
Now he's got to try and get past the Williams. Same power unit, of course, the Mercedes power unit in the back of that Williams, and Felipe Massa. He's never had particular luck here at this circuit, and of course some occasions it's gone horribly wrong. He had the big accident here in 2009. In 2008 he led this Grand Prix with 3 laps to go, and the engine blew up when he was in that amazing battle with Hamilton for the world title that year. But Massa hanging on grimly after 2 Grand Prix that have ended on the first lap in recent times. He wants to get whatever he can out of this Hungarian race.
It's not looking like he's going to be able to defend on those prime tyres against Rosberg. He's got the straight line speed, but Rosberg has the grip if he wants to chuck it down the inside. Meanwhile, Ricciardo has got the gap down to 0.9. He's within DRS zone, and Hamilton, who's only 1.2 seconds behind Alonso. So it's take your pick. Do you want to watch the battle for the top 3? Or this battle here for 4, 5, 6?
Yeah, that's right. You can see at the graphic on the bottom of your screen how much Ricciardo is catching Hamilton. Meanwhile, we're just going to see whether Rosberg can overtake here on the run down the straight, get past into 4th place. That's what he's trying to get here. He goes to the inside, and there's nothing that Massa can fight with. Much fresher tyres on the Mercedes, and Rosberg is into 4th. Now, he's some 23 seconds behind that group that's now beginning to fight for the lead, and I don't think there's much chance of him closing that up within 9 laps, but I'm sure he'll be trying.
No, this is a pass on Raikkonen. He comes from a long way back, and it took a little bit of compliance from Raikkonen on turning, and then in the end Raikkonen was not able to get the car back. Rosberg took the place.
What a showdown this promises to be between Alonso, Hamilton and Daniel Ricciardo. Let's listen.
Okay, remember you can hold the overtake. Battery is good.
So they're in good shape, Ricciardo. There was a concern earlier on in this race that he had a technical problem, but so far so good. Remember, Alonso and Hamilton were teammates together in 2007, and it was here in Hungary that the kind of hidden hostility between them became open combat when they both tried to prevent each other.
Oh, he lost the
off.
back end on the way into the chicane.
Alonso cutting the chicane now. Will he have deemed to have gained an advantage there?
Well, he's got to allow them to be the same gap behind. Let's hope it's a warning.
Yeah.
And rather than having to give up the position, he wasn't being put under pressure in terms of someone trying to overtake him at that point. And then just has a kick off the rear and lifts his hand to say, okay, I'm going straight. Daniel's in a position here.
Definitely. Daniel Ricciardo lining Hamilton up. He's going to go around the outside. He's trying to get around the outside, but he's running out of track. But he might still get the inside line. No, runs out of space in the end.
We knew he's up for having a go if he sees the opportunity, and he's just put a very clear mark in the sand for Hamilton.
And it's also caused Hamilton to drop back a bit more from Alonso.
3.3 seconds, Rosberg.
So just keep this pace up, you'll catch the top 3 at the end.
Well, confirmation of what you were saying there, David. Rosberg's so fast at the moment that although he's 14 seconds behind this group, he will be with them, in theory, on the last lap.
Yeah, he was 3.3 seconds quicker on that last lap. That just shows the benefit of a clean air, fresher tyres.
Well, let's wait to see what happens, but these guys will all be struggling a bit on their tyres by then, except Ricciardo. Ricciardo's got good tyres to the end, absolutely. He can really nail it, so I can't see that he's going to suddenly slow down. And Ricciardo's still in with a shout here.
It's 11th lap on these tyres, Ricciardo. That's considerably fresher than the 2 men ahead.
Alonso continues to lead the Hungarian Grand Prix in the Ferrari. Across the line he comes once more. Just 5 laps to go. Can he really hang on to take victory here today? Hamilton has come from the pit lane. It's never been done before to win a Grand Prix from the pit lane. A race has been won from 22nd on the grid, which is the equivalent of where he was. John Watson did that back in 1983. But this is a remarkable comeback, and Ricciardo's got another chance here.
Yeah, Hamilton on the prime is struggling.
Definitely struggling for grip, Lewis Hamilton now, and Ricciardo sees some opportunities perhaps opening up for his Red Bull. Rosberg is still catching them at, well, just under 3 seconds a lap, but it's probably not going to be quite enough to join in the fun and games on the last lap. Massa is 5th, Raikkonen in his best position of the year in 6th, and then Vettel is 7th, trying to get to the end on his tyres. Bottas is now 8th, Verne is 9th. The final point being held by Jenson Button and the Sauber of Sutil, frustratingly being kept out of the points at this stage of the Grand Prix.
Well, Rosberg's closing up the gap, slowed down a little bit on the last lap around. About 2.4 seconds he gained.
Now, how does Ricciardo line this up? Last couple of corners, key overtaking area coming up.
So shift beyond the tone, so use the revs. Shift beyond the tone, use the revs.
So Hamilton having to get defensive, revving the engine more than he would normally.
Well, they've got some margin, some headroom. They tend to shift, well, they get nowhere near the limit that's been set by the FIA to get the best performance out of these engines, and he's now under pressure from Ricciardo.
Here comes Ricciardo once again. He's definitely got more grip in the Red Bull. Somebody locking up ahead. Again, though, Hamilton holds the inner ground. Now Ricciardo trying to go all the way around the outside. He's done it! Oh, Ricciardo's taken second place from Lewis Hamilton. A brilliant manoeuvre. And now he goes chasing after race leader Fernando Alonso.
He's got it in him for the win.
Oh, we are watching one of the great races, surely, of Formula One. Daniel Ricciardo, okay, he didn't qualify as far down as some of the others, but that was a great move by him, David.
Yeah, it's a world champion of the future move, undoubtedly.
Magic from Daniel Ricciardo. And look at the reaction. Red Bull are loving this Australian who has joined the team this year. Now, remember the battle we saw last time out in Germany? Alonso versus Ricciardo. This time, it's for the victory.
Well, you know what's great about that shot? The man at the front of that image and the Red Bull mechanics clapping is the #1 on Sebastian Vettel's car. It just shows that these guys look at it as a team as a whole, as opposed to, you know, my car and their car.
Fernando Alonso started this Grand Prix in 5th. He's been leading it for a long time. Daniel Ricciardo started in 4th. He's got a little bit of a run going down towards the first corner. He's down the inside. Oh, and he outbreaks the Ferrari. He's got more grip. He holds the apex, and he makes it look so simple. Daniel Ricciardo has taken the lead of the Hungarian Grand Prix, and he looks all set for his 2nd victory this season.
Brilliant. One word, brilliant.
What can you say about the man from Perth? He won in Canada he took the lead with 3 laps to go, and he's done it again with 3 laps to go. Okay, he led in the early stages of this Grand Prix. Brilliant strategy call by Simon Rennie with Daniel early on in terms of what they did with the tyres. Look how he's getting away. He's on the fresher tyres, and now it's all about whether Hamilton can get past the Ferrari for 2nd, and that Ferrari is desperate for grip now. It's all over the place, David. He's really struggling.
He's under severe pressure. The tyres have hit the wall, or hit the cliff, actually. It's the expression the drivers use, excuse me.
Rosberg is 5 seconds, less than 5 seconds behind them, and Rosberg could still join the back of this little mini dice for second. There's Rosberg, look, he's much closer, so much closer on the fresh tyres. Look how hard he's trying. Fastest lap after fastest lap being set by Nico Rosberg. Even though the tyres, even his tyres, will be beginning to give up their best, and we've still got lots to look at. Ricciardo leads with 2 laps to go. Across the line, Alonso with just a tiny advantage over Lewis Hamilton. The gap to Rosberg, only 1.5 seconds now, as Hamilton hunts around behind the Ferrari, but he's struggling for grip. You can see on that tyre, both of them in different areas of the track are struggling, interestingly. Hamilton struggles on this section, doesn't have a go there, but it's on the back part of the circuit where Alonso seems to struggle for grip. There's Rosberg bearing down on them. Wow, what a situation to be in, David. Which one would you like to be in at this stage?
Oh, I'd want to be Daniel Ricciardo out front, but...
if it had to be one of these.
Yeah, well, Rosberg, we know, has got a much better set of tyres and got all that momentum, and it's going to be surely easy picking for him to get past Hamilton and Alonso.
You wonder how, yes, what's going to happen when they come together to race hard. We saw in Bahrain there was no quarter given between Rosberg and Hamilton. It's all about every point in this year's World Championship, remember?
Yeah, Hamilton's been on the radio to his team, my tyres are dead, guys. So he's not in a position to do anything other than just keep it between the white lines.
And Rosberg is going to have the grip as they come out of the final turn and go on to the last lap. Wow, this is going to be amazing.
Is it enough? Is it a big enough gap? I think it might be for just far enough ahead from Rosberg to not be able to use his DRS in this area.
Alonso slides out of the last corner. We go on to the final lap, and Rosberg's going to try and get past his teammate. He's just within DRS range.
Yeah, he's got to try and get a good drive through 1 and launch it into 2. He's got the better line. Rosberg and Hamilton's going to have to go defensive into 2.
The 2 title contenders are going to go wheel to wheel, surely. Hamilton defends down into turn 2. Now, round the outside, this is where we saw Ricciardo, but no, Hamilton squeezes him out. He says, you're not coming through on this last lap. No way am I allowing that, and Rosberg's going to have to try again.
Oh, a little racing driver's glove slap to the face there from Hamilton once again on Rosberg. Rosberg trying to do exactly what Ricciardo had done.
Alonso's been given a little bit of breathing space because of this, and Alonso's heading for his best finish of the year. It'll be only his 2nd podium of the season, and again it's from 5th place on the grid as it was in China when he scored a podium finish. But Hamilton and Rosberg, which of the 2 is going to end up ahead? Of course, for Rosberg, he will still be leading the points whichever way round they finish, but Hamilton will have closed the gap if they stay the way they are now. Daniel Ricciardo, though, is way out in front of them, and it's going to be Daniel Ricciardo to take victory. He's waiting already. Daniel Ricciardo wins the Hungarian Grand Prix. Wow, 2 victories this year, Canada and Hungary. 2nd place goes to Fernando Alonso. A brilliant effort from him, stunning drive, and Hamilton holds on for the final podium slot ahead of Nico Rosberg. Hamilton is 3rd, Rosberg is 4th. Mercedes are beaten for only the 2nd time this year. Vettel and Bottas fighting here. This is for 7th place. Bottas on the fresher tyre. Vettel struggling on tyres that are quite old now. He's done some 36 laps. Can Bottas get the exit? I don't think he's going to have quite enough here. And it looks as though the other Red Bull of Sebastian Vettel is going to finish in 7th place. Raikkonen was 6th ahead of them. Massa was 5th. Bottas settles for 8th in the end this time. But Daniel Ricciardo, his 2nd win in 5 Grand Prix. Result of the Hungarian Grand Prix, Daniel Ricciardo takes victory from Fernando Alonso and Lewis Hamilton, with Rosberg chasing in 4th place. Felipe Massa finished in 5th ahead of Kimi Raikkonen. Sebastian Vettel was 7th. Valtteri Bottas only 8th on this occasion, and 9th place for Jean-Eric Vergne. Jenson Button took the final point, so once again Sauber frustrated in their attempts to score any points this year. Adrian Sutil finished in 11th place. Kevin Magnussen was 12th in the other McLaren, 13th for Pastor Maldonado, then Daniel Kvyat, with Gilles Bianchi winning the Marussia battle against his teammate Max Chilton. A lot of cars out though: Gutierrez, Kobayashi, Perez, who crashed against the pit wall, Hulkenberg, Grosjean and Marcus Ericsson. Daniel Ricciardo celebrates his second win of the season. Fernando Alonso receives the trophy for second place. What a drive by the Ferrari star. And Lewis Hamilton receiving the trophy for third. He came from the pit lane and he beat his teammate. Daniel Ricciardo's taken his second victory of the season. He remains the only man to have beaten the might of Mercedes in 2014.
Daniel Ricciardo, you were incredible today on track. Some great calls from Simon Rennie and the gang in the garage as well. How sweet does it feel?
It feels as sweet as the first. It really does. You know, you can absorb this one a bit quicker. The second one, you know, the first is just a blur. But today, I knew what was going on, and as soon as I hit the lead, I was like, okay, when I cross the line, I know what's happening, and I'm going to enjoy this one.
It was eventful, David.
Yeah, it is indeed. You've clearly got the speed, but you got the moves as well. And we saw some great battles there with Lewis Hamilton and the likes. So you can just talk us through on the outside at turn 2. This is one that didn't quite come off. This is the one that did come off. Sorry.
Yeah, the first attempt didn't really work, but I knew I had, you know, a bit fresher tyres to make it happen, and thought I went in a bit hot again, but just had the grip around the outside, and yeah, it was a lot of fun.
High risk strategy, putting yourself on the outside, but
yeah, good times. It reminds me of a week ago. But again, you know, I was in the sandwich with Fernando and Lewis there, and I knew if I didn't make quick work of Alonso, I could have been, you know, back at square one. So yeah,
it wasn't an easy drive by any stretch of the imagination today. I mean, the start for you was quite tricky, wasn't it?
It was. You know, on the Inters we struggled a bit more, and I was waiting for the track to dry up really, and I think it was about a lap before the safety car. I was saying, you know, I think probably slicks will be the go soon, and then safety car came out, and we were like, bang, let's do it.
Going into the summer holiday, is this going to be a good one?
Yeah, it will. I was tossing up what to do on the break, but I got obviously got a bit of a bonus today, so I'm sure I'll spend the holiday wisely now and enjoy it a little bit more.
You have yourself a fantastic time. Congratulations today. Well done.
Cheers. Thanks, guys.
We decide not to stop in the safety car, so we take some risk also on the strategy, and it pay off at the end with this second place that it tastes like a victory. 13 laps to the end, 12 laps to the end, we were debating what to do, stop and secure the 4th place, or not stop and maybe finish in the 4th place, which is more or less the same result the strategy and the computer was saying. I said, okay, if the computer say the same position, let me lead the race until the last moment, and we'll see what happened.
Lewis Hamilton, you were incredible today. From the pit lane to the podium, a sensation. But it was so tough out there, wasn't it?
This whole weekend's been really tough, yeah. But I'm grateful I got through it in one piece, just about.
You obviously managed to put the woes of yesterday's behind you, and when you went out there it was raining, but from the onset really we can have a look at how difficult it was out there for you. David, these were terrible conditions.
Well, talk us through it, Lewis. We all had our heart in our mouth when we saw this.
I don't even know where my heart was, mate. Just a silly mistake, really. I mean, I started from the pit lane, my brakes were very, very cold. Well, they were just frozen, really, and yeah, I mean, this was a bit risky. I didn't know where he was, but today I needed to take some risks.
What were you thinking here? We heard you on the radio saying that he looked like he gained an advantage.
Well, he did. Yeah, he did gain an advantage. So I'm really surprised that he was able to keep it.
Yeah, this was a brilliant defining part of the race, though. Really showing how strongly you wanted to keep that position.
Well, I mean, I was fighting so hard just to look after those tires, and I was fighting so hard to catch and overtake Fernando, but it's very, very difficult when you're behind in the slipstream. And at the end of the day, I think the option tire was better. But you know, and then to eke out, just stay ahead, and then at the end he was catching me 3 seconds a lap to try and keep that place. You know, I worked so hard for that, like the most. I've never worked so hard for anything in my life. You know, I really, really wanted those points, needed those points, and I wasn't giving it up for nobody.
Yeah, no. Well, we heard obviously some radio messages between you and the team, and we really saw your determination there. You were quite clear on what your goal was this afternoon.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, Nico started pole position, so for whatever reasons he was where he was, but at that point I was second and he was perhaps third or whatever, and we were in the same race as far as I was concerned. You know, And if I had let him past at that time, he would have beat me today, you know, because he would have done his pit stop, he would have caught me much sooner, and he would have got by.
Were you a little bit surprised to be asked?
I am, and I still am, but we'll sit down and talk about it, I'm sure.
Okay, well, you've closed the gap in the championship to 11 points now.
Well, who would have thought yesterday, when the car was on fire, that I'd be able to do that?
Great comeback.
Yeah, I don't really know how I can explain it, but you know, things happen for a reason, and I guess today was really a showing of that.
Well, you can go into the holiday period very happy. Congratulations, Lewis Hamilton.
Thanks
it was
so much.
Truly incredible today.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Cheers.
Let's hear from Nico now.
So that's what's the most annoying for me now. The last lap, you know, I would have liked to. I had the chance, and I wasn't able to use it. Of course, it was very difficult, but so that was a pity.
Lewis Hamilton didn't seem to help you out very much as well. He was given the order several times to let you pass and still didn't.
I don't know. We have to discuss that internally. It would not make sense for me to speak about that now.
We go into the half-time break, though. You are still in the lead by 11 points from Lewis Hamilton. How do you feel going into the break?
At the moment, I'm still very annoyed because I'm in the last lap at the moment. So it's going to take me a bit of time, and then I'll be okay for the holiday.
Yeah, Jenny talking to Nico there pretty much straight after the race, and he's coming to terms with what's happened. What did you think about that? Do you think that Lewis should have let Nico by?
Well, I think Lewis was in a situation, he was looking at Fernando Alonso. He was thinking, crikey, I've came from the pit lane, I might win this race. He wasn't necessarily that interested in where his teammate was going to finish. And Nico wasn't the quickest in coming up to him. It wasn't like the 3 seconds, the difference at the end of the race. It was about half a second a lap at that point.
If he had have been all over the back of him, do you think he could have been different?
Yeah, I think so. You sense as a driver whether someone's really hustling you and putting you under pressure, and I don't think at that point Nico was really doing enough to get Lewis's attention and put that to one side. I think that, you know, a directive has to come from one of the directors of the company, asking an engineer if that was the case to tell them to move over. It's never going to happen. You know, racing drivers have a very close relationship with their engineer, and they know that ultimately they can push back.
He wants to win the championship, wants to close that gap, and he's done that today. Sebastian Vettel today, he could have been in that mix, couldn't he?
He could easily have been in the mix. He was ahead of his teammate Daniel Ricciardo, who won the race when he had the big spin in the last corner. He was really pushing hard. He was on the AstroTurf many times before it, and the AstroTurf, as we know, it holds the water a little bit longer. Perez spun, hit the wall hard. He was so lucky he didn't do the same. He took a chunk of concrete out of the wall and still managed to continue.
Yeah, some winners, some good strategy, some poor strategy. McLaren fall into the poor strategy today with that call, don't they?
It could have been so easily.
If it had rained.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. You've got to even take a chance. Arguably, they should have just split the two drivers and then cover the bases, but hindsight's a wonderful thing. But wrong call today.
Yeah, and disappointing for Williams today as well.
Yeah, another one where they thought maybe there's a little bit slipped away. I'm not 100% sure where it went wrong for them, but going on to the harder compound, the cooler conditions, that definitely didn't help their strategy.
But it was an absolutely astonishing race. Let's catch up then with the race result today. Daniel Ricciardo takes his second Formula One win. Fernando Alonso back on the podium, 18 points to him, and Lewis Hamilton from the pit lane all the way up to third place. So in terms of the Drivers' Championship, Lewis Hamilton manages to close the gap down to 11 points. Daniel Ricciardo 71 points behind. Fernando Alonso 4th, Valtteri Bottas 5th, and Felipe Massa moves up to 9th. Of course, Mercedes are still leading the Constructors' Championship, but Ferrari now go back ahead of Williams. Well, we'll be back after a 4-week summer break, live from Spa with all of the sessions for you. Well, gentlemen, what a sensational showdown it's been. The Hungarian Grand Prix, peppered with pretty much everything you could hope for. Formula One at its very best. Changes required? I don't think so. Thanks for watching.
My house in Budapest, my hidden treasure chest. Ooh, yeah. Ooh, I'd leave it all. Give me one good reason why I should never make a change. Maybe if you owe me, then all of this will go away.
Daniel Ricciardo has taken the lead of the Hungarian Grand Prix.
Next time on Formula One. Race 12. Spa, Belgium.
A big night of swimming, cycling and rugby.